Welcome to Light Up, and thanks for watching. Today I'm with my brother Almamji, Mr. Mpanga. He's going to have a conversation with me about how our society really plays a crucial role in promoting or diversifying patriotism in a way that is reflective of the things that we see in our homes every day, in the communities and the societies where we thrive. Now, what's the importance of this topic? That what we do within society as a whole becomes a reflection that which highly impacts, informs and influences the way our children and the young ones are going to live tomorrow. That's pretty much it. But to help us kind of draw a context, Hassan, last week there was a coffee marathon in Ntungamo.
Yeah.
So the coffee marathon went on, and I think it was successful in that regard. Lots of festivities, fanfare, a lot of Ugandan artists attended. I think Eddie Kenzo really put up a very, very spectacular show. But what surprised me was that at the end of the day, a lot of the talk with regard to the marathon wasn't so much about the coffee, investment opportunities related to the coffee industry in Uganda, what we can learn, or as even people who want either promote coffee, coffee farmers, people who want to start the coffee plantations and the like. What came out, that which tended to kind of make a big buzz, and then I think it was more or less the conversation among young people, was that Diamond Platnam was one of the highlights of this marathon and the entertainment circuit that followed. And then how much money Diamond was paid, the circumstances within which he came, circumstances I'm referring to the logistical organization. He was brought in on a private jet, so it's said. I mean, I didn't see this private jet, so I don't know, but that's what was in the social media circles. Then he had to be taken to Ntungamo, probably from Entebbe, I don't know, to the venue where he performed in, again, a hired helicopter. So it was kind of pump, splash. So I hear all this, and of course, there are mixed reactions. Some people are like, well, he's worth the money, rightly so. That's what he commands. And if he has certain requests when it comes to him attending a show, performing, these are his requests. Who is to say no? Diamond Platnam is one of the brand artists we have in Africa. So he commands a price, number one. He commands that kind of attention, number two. And he has quite the following. So maybe there is some strategy behind that. Now, Uganda is a country with a myriad of artists across the board. Whether we are talking about the Kadongo Kamus, whether we are talking about the Nandujas with traditional music, the Ranjezis, all these other outfits, and then the modern artists who by far or by all standards should stand on the same platform as Diamond Platnam, Bebekus, the Kenzos, the Azawis, or the entire Swangs Avenue outfit. Excellent artists. I always give them a lot of credit, and they deserve it all the way. Then we have all these other artists, the Palazos, the A+, so many. Where are they? Where are they to showcase, to partake of also this kind of platform, and in so doing to also kind of earn and get some of these proceeds? Because Diamond Platnam commands a fee of this show where I'm sure, I don't know how long he performed, I'm not so sure whether he made an hour of performance. He was paid allegedly up to a tune of 750 million, you know? 250 million shy of $1 billion shillings. That's a lot of money by Ugandan standards. Now, for me, as people were having all these mixed reactions, my thinking was on a different plateau, if you allow me to use the word. What was I thinking about? Why is it that in Uganda, somehow, we are not promoting so much our own? Why can't we ring fence? Why can't we elevate ourselves? And I've used this particular story because it's fresh in the minds of viewers and people who follow us. However, there are so many social aspects that we could touch on to use the same and talk about the same. There is this program in Uganda, Bubu, selling our things, promoting our products. And in this particular case, we have given an example, promoting our own artists. I think it's a win-win all the way. But for me, what is even more important is that in trying to market something and sell something and win at the end of the day, to have a brand, to have market value, there is need for consistency, you know? And I'll end by giving you an example of the Premier League in the entire world right now. It's if not, it's the most famous football league in the world, the Premier League. Go back to the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. No, we are talking of football made in German Bundesliga, Serie A, Italian league. We are talking even of the Netherlands league. Then we are talking about South America and all the football that they have there, which comes in plenty. All these now have faded compared to the Premier League. On weekends in Uganda, 80% of the men and a big percentage of women, I'm not so sure which, we have an engagement. We are always on our screens, following, adoring the Premier League. The Arsenal fans, I support Manchester United, I can't hide, and yes, we are shameful the way we are performing. Then there are all these others, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, the champions, congratulations. Liverpool fans, everywhere, Premier League, okay? But I'm very sure, Mr. Mpanga, that there was a deliberate move by the English people to say, our league is going to be promoted and it will be the best in the world and everyone will believe whether it is or not. Because even as of today, football pundits and experts will tell you that the Premier League doesn't really command the best footballers, so to say. It may attract them in terms of money, but when it comes to football, they will tell you, look elsewhere. They are brilliant, spectacular players and the like. You know, we even have the Spanish league. You understand? So, Uganda, we are failing terribly at promoting ourselves. And I dare say, we are selfish people. We are bad people. And I'm asking myself, why? Because I don't see a good that comes out of it, you know? And that is my dilemma. So I want you to help me to decipher that dilemma, because ultimately what I know, if we fail to promote ourselves, fail to promote our societies, our people, our innovations, our stuff, our children don't gain to get an advantage from it ultimately. I think we fail. And in that regard, we fail them. Over to you.
Thank you very much. The way I look at it, it all starts and ends with the word patriotism. Patriotism.
And we've talked about that.
People, we've talked about this so many times. People have to love their country. They have to love themselves. They have to love the things they do. I believe even by the time the government came up with this boo-boo, they saw it that we need to develop the local talent. We need to support local talent. We need to support the local initiatives. Now, when you give an example of, by the way, you are talking about our in-law, so be very cautious. In an African culture, you know, when you're talking about the in-law, you're supposed to be very cautious. You know,
we should exercise diplomacy.
You're supposed to tread delicately. You know, yeah. Diamond Platnam is our in-law, you know that. Maybe with all the money he made, he left a lot of it here for school fees, shopping, what, because it's about school time, you know. So he came in at the time. It came in timely. It came in timely. But on a more serious note, it is to do with the leadership. You know, it is funny that people, whenever you talk about something, they say, you're putting politics in these things, or they're going to be fuzzy. Everything starts and ends with politics. Everything starts and ends with politics. The leaders are supposed to teach the people. The leaders are supposed to have this in their minds so that it trickles down to the people they lead.
Maybe just to hold you on that, when you say everything starts and ends with politics, maybe we have the wrong definition of politics. Because if you say it starts and ends, and I agree with you entirely, then people need to be comfortable with the politics. What does it really mean? It's just a question I have in my mind, but please go ahead.
I'm giving an example. The president gets up and says, I'm looking for investors. Investors, some of the investors who come in are supported financially, with land, with tax exemptions.
Tax exemptions, well, yeah.
Now the locals feel those guys are being taken, are being valued more than us. Look at the big picture, take it down, trickle it down to the smallest man there. That is the feeling. Look at the way the Chinese, the Who's, those low other people are treated here, the foreigners. They're treated in a special way. Why? Because it's our Ugandan way of doing things. We're welcoming, we are hospitable.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, other people see it differently. Baba TT, yeah, there's all those people differently. It kills the patriotism in the people. Now look at the musicians. There's an event of promoting one of the main cash crops of the country, next to tourism. Coffee. Coffee. We are giving it value. This is supposed to have been a nationwide campaign with the competitions between those with flower beds of the coffee, the growers, the outgrowers, the advisors, the extension workers, you know, different things. Those who are showing off ABCD with a climax in Ntungamo. So that the thing gets a nationwide appeal. But now it appears like it was something that was crafted to bring awareness to their thing and be extravagant and exorbitant in everything and this. And just like I talk about the investors who are given everything, the international investors come in with privileges. It's so surprising that the international entertainer comes in with privileges. Because that's how it is. I said it starts and ends with politics. It's supposed to be built by the leaders from the top. Like the president emphasizes, let's build local capacity.
Yes.
How much are you pumping and granting subsidies without
To
any
local farmers.
to the local
coffee.
investors? How much are you doing that? It's not there. The spirit of patriotism dies. They don't feel supported. They feel neglected. They feel let down. You understand? So there's a way people feel let down and they've given up. What has it breeded in them? Bad hearts, unfeeling hearts, envy, jealousy of their own nation. They are unfeeling. It is Independence Day, it is Labour's Day, it is Heroes Day. They don't make any mean to a Ugandan today. They don't care. Why? Because that's the way it's brought. That's the way it's presented. With me, I was a young kid, about between 6 and 10, there around. Independence Day was memorable in my head, and Labour Day. Because I would go on the main road and peep and see gigantic trucks of a gigantic cow passing, a gigantic fish on a truck. Then what?
Representing different, yeah.
Then we go to Nachivubo Stadium. People will put up a show. It will be like independence is felt by everybody.
It was a true celebration.
Like you see the 4th of July.
In the
Where
US.
every flag, every homestead has to have a flag. Even small flags are given to the babies. They know that's a big day. It's a big day. Heroes Day. Everybody's supposed to come out of their compound and say, there goes our hero, well served. Thanks for your service. You know, you're supposed to be taking pride in them. But it was taken over. It is for the few who are invited to go and witness and celebrate and eat the food and do the thing, and it ends there.
So
when the whole
largely
country
we
is not
feel
even
like
aware.
most Ugandans in that regard would be, they don't feel they belong.
They don't feel these things are with them. Even now they've started scrutinizing, but those are heroes of who? What did, for example, what did that one do? Why? Because when those guys come to present those medals, they say, we are presenting this medal to Mukasa or to Okelo, to Isabidie or to Mugisha for his heroism. This is the lady who has been in Ntungamo. I'm giving an example on Ntungamo. Or in Rwashamire, at the other zebra crossing, you know, in the school zone. She has been there helping children to cross for the last 15 years. And since she's been there,
every day,
no accident, no what, safety of the children, blah, 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 blah. That's why we are recognizing her for this service. People give a medal with the explanation that gives people this thing to feel they've served their nation.
Public service.
They've done this. That's why even with me, I had a different opinion of these traffic people. I got a bit disappointed. One of the penalties that is supposed to be included, I'm begging, is community service. Those guys, you commit a traffic crime, they say, Mr. Sensamba, you're going to serve at Kajansi roundabout area for a period of 14 days. You're going to be a traffic guide with the traffic officers so that you learn the law, you learn not to overtake, you learn not to overtake. So 6 or 7 people found themselves there. All of them are traffic violators with your status. The punishment is come and serve. People know that he's serving a punishment.
Yeah, that's community service.
Community service. You go and serve there for a week. The one who has committed too much, they say for a month. Then afterwards, go back to the driving school, do the test again, requalify. But no, say pay money, pay money, pay money.
Actually,
people
in some countries, when you look at the traffic violations, when it comes to giving you a citation on
traffic violation,
the countries are so strict that they might even give you 1 or 2 warnings, but then the third, for them, they will tell you we take away the driver's license.
They do that.
So you have people who are in some of the countries like the US or whatever, when they don't drive. And
one of my relatives in the US.
That's like life.
One of my relatives in the US.
Sentence of commuting without.
She was penalized. And her driver's license taken up for a long period of time. But the thing is, you see that as punishment, but there's a way to build patriotism in a person.
Oh yeah. And for me, I think it's the person standing next to them. It's a deterrent.
Now, it sends a direct signal to our children.
Yes.
Why was dad, so-and-so's dad doing this? He violated a traffic rule.
Yes.
There are things that send signals when it's like a punishment, but again, it's patriotic.
No, for me, again, I'll give you an example. I was in the UK. And I was visiting with a friend on a weekend. So we entered the city in London. So as she was driving around, I realized she had gone around 2 blocks. As we are talking, same block. But every time we were passing this point for the second time and the first time, there was a whole area, it had parking spaces. But it was empty. And then I asked her,
why do you do parking?
Because we were looking for parking spaces. And she told me, let's commute around this
block,
supermarket block. We will find someone who is leaving. And eventually someone left. And so we took the spot. But I told her why that space is, why don't we just use that space? And she said, oh, that space on a weekend, we can only park there from 2 to 4. 2 to 4, yes. So I told her, so if I went there now, and the people were circling, looking for parking.
But not that
I told
one.
her, and there were really several parking spaces there, empty. So I told her, now, if I went there and parked, she said, if you parked there, either immediately there's going to come a towing truck, and your car will be confiscated, or you're going to find a fine in your mail. And for them, they are so organized that the fines, they're not all the time the traffic people are there. The fine just comes in your mail, and they tell you have to pay £1,000 for this and violating this and this and that. So but as she was explaining to me, you see, I was now being Ugandan, typical Ugandan. where you find a signpost saying hakuna kukojoa, unaendelea na kukojoa.
Even you go on the number 2. In Uganda, that's the way. When you say hakuna kukojoa, they go number 2.
Because they said hakuna kukojoa. You see?
When they say stuff only, that's what you want to enter.
Exactly. So in my Ugandan mentality was telling me, but for her, she was already, and this is a person who has lived in Uganda, went and now she's British. So she kind of helped me understand that people there, it's not even a question of civility or that you are civil. No, it is what it is. You know. Again, when you find a place where it's reserved for people with disabilities, you don't dare park there, you know, or make use of that facility just because it's free. It's there, put there for a purpose. So it's this mentality and the heart of thinking about your neighbor and the other next person that we miss a lot.
Do you know that it's only in Uganda and East Africa where we've declined this law?
Of what?
Of lack of patriotism, lack of respect for the law, lack of respect for seniors, lack of respect for the elderly, for the disabled. I've been in all the East African countries. They still do what we used to experience in our villages. Jambo mzee. Now I didn't know, but sometimes I forget that I'm mzee because of this. So when I find jambo mzee, jambo, I remember, they're meaning me. In Uganda, even a hello is no longer there. I'm showing you how far we have gone. In Uganda,
we are off the grid.